Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Tina Nelson. I am the office manager here at the Brady Cobin Law Group. And we are so excited today that we are having the first of a series of live Facebook events that we plan to present for the remainder of the year. Today, we are speaking with Attorney Gretchen Cleevely, one of our attorneys here at Brady Cobin Law Group. And we'll be discussing special need challenges, what special needs is, and how to protect our family that may have special needs. Along the way, we'll have some tips and tricks, if you will, and all of this and more, and we will discuss this with Attorney Cleevely. Please note, side note, this Facebook event is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as legal advice. We're just going to have a chat. So let's get started. Attorney Cleevely, Gretchen Cleevely, who are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I am an attorney here at Brady Cobin Law Group, and I do estate planning with a focus on Medicaid and special needs planning. And that's what I do here.
So what drew you to this practice?
So I've had a very interesting career path. I was an actress in New York City for about 10 years, and then I started to teach a program for underprivileged children or children at risk. And that made me want to become a teacher, specifically a special education teacher, which I did. I went and got my master's. And when I started teaching, what I enjoyed most about my job was working with families and the amount I did get to work with families. And that sort of made me think about becoming an attorney. Eventually, during law school, I did some focus on more representing school districts, which I ended up doing for several years. Here in North Carolina, I represented public schools. During that time, again, I really started to miss the connection I had with students and families. And that sort of led me to my practice here at Brady Cobin Law.
Awesome. So let's get into it. What's special needs? Like, can you elaborate on that for us?
Sure. So there's special needs is something that we're familiar with. It's the very basic definition is somebody with a disability. The technical government, the Social Security Administration has a definition that a person would have to meet in order to qualify for government benefits. And that definition is somebody who's unable to engage in any substantial gainful activity because of a medically determined mental or physical condition, and that condition needs to either be expected to result in death or have lasted for 12 months. And that's the SSI or the SSA, Social Security definition of disability that a person would need to meet in order to qualify for government benefits.
So we need to come to you for that definition to be sure if we qualify.
No.
I don't
make that determination. That determination is actually made by the Social Security Administration.
Awesome. So what type of benefits can people with disabilities receive?
So there's a lot of different programs. The three main ones, we're going to focus on two today. The three main ones are Social Security Income, SSI, Social Security Disability Insurance, SSDI, and of course Medicaid. So those are the three main ones. There are a lot of other ones. There are, obviously SNAP or food stamps. There are a longer list of those. But for purposes of our conversation today, that's what we're going to be focusing on.
So are there rules surrounding public benefits for people with disabilities?
Yes.
Okay, what are those?
In order to qualify for, and again, we're focusing on SSI and Medicaid. In order to qualify for either one of those programs, there are financial restrictions or limits. Main one to focus on and sort of most relevant to our conversation today is the resource or asset limit, which that person cannot have more than $2,000 total in assets.
So who should consider special needs planning?
So, really two groups of people. Again, we're going to focus on one today. Two groups of people being one, families with a child or children with disabilities. Also, people with disabilities themselves can benefit from special needs planning as well.
And we're going to focus on?
We're going to focus on families or parents with children even adult children,
Okay.
but children with disabilities.
Okay.
So when I'm talking about children, that doesn't mean necessarily under the age of 18, just means your child.
Your child. Okay. So if you're just joining us, welcome. First and foremost, we're having a discussion with Attorney Gretchen Cleevely of the Brady Cobin Law Group about special needs trust. And again, this is just for informational and educational purposes only. It's not intended for legal advice. At this time, do we have any questions from our audience, like anything like that? Do we have anything up there just yet? What is the process like of doing a special needs trust?
Well, let's talk about first what a special needs trust is. Let's start there.
Yeah.
I think that's sort of a good place for us to start. And that a special needs trust is simply so if a person has over that $2,000 asset limit, like we talked, or resource limit, like we just discussed,
Right.
they run the risk of being bumped off their public benefit.
Right.
And we don't want that to happen, especially because, the Social Security income at most likely is about $800 a month, which
Okay.
it's not a lot of money, but the key component of that SSI benefit is the Medicaid benefit,
Right.
that health insurance. And you do not want to lose that Medicaid benefit
Right.
because that is a lot of money, and
Correct.
you'll either be paying out of pocket for your medical expenses or having to pay for private insurance, which is
Absolutely.
costly.
Right.
So we don't want to lose that benefit. And so when a person goes over that $2,000 limit, they'll lose that benefit. So for the purposes of our conversation today, a lot of times what happens is parents will think they're doing their child with special needs a big favor by, I'm going to leave that child $50,000, which is
Right.
what you would want to do as any parent.
Right. Right.
Mom and dad, if you're listening. So you don't want them to lose that benefit. So you want to have that, and I'm just making up a number, that $50,000 needs to go somewhere
Right.
where it's not going to bump that child off of
Off the
their
benefits.
off of their benefits.
Right. Right.
And a special needs trust is a vehicle that we use to do that.
Okay. So you create this trust, but are there rules for special needs trust? Are there restrictions?
Yes.
Okay.
So the rule of a special needs trust is that it can't that the trust itself cannot it needs to supplement, not supplant the benefit. Now what that means is,
Okay.
because I know Tina always gets on me, what that means is that you can't pay for anything that SSI benefit is meant to pay for. So the SSI benefit is meant to pay for food and shelter.
Okay.
So that anything coming from that trust cannot pay for
Okay.
those items. So no food, no shelter. That includes rent, mortgage, utilities, that sort of things. That's what the SSI benefit is meant for.
Okay.
So the trust can pay for a lot of other things.
Like what? Briefly.
Medical expenses that Medicaid won't cover. A lot of times Medicaid won't cover certain things like music therapy. And the trust can pay for things like that. Again,
Okay.
it can't pay for anything that Medicaid pays for,
Right.
but can pay for other things.
So like computers and
A
things
computer, definitely electronics, education expenses. So if you have a child that wants to go to college, because
Right.
a lot of children with disabilities can,
like that. Right.
that it can pay for an education or just a class, a training class.
Right.
It can pay for, it's meant to enhance
I was gonna say that. Right.
that
Their life.
child's quality of life.
Right.
So things like paying for entertainment. A lot of times clients will use the money to pay for a companion person that meets with them weekly to take them to a movie or to the park or,
Right.
that sort of thing. So it's really enhancing the quality of life for that
Yeah.
person with a disability, again, without supplanting
Right.
the SSI benefit.
Okay. Okay. So, what is a trustee, or who should be the trustee in a special needs trust?
Sure. So when you set up your special needs trust, you are going to name a trustee, which most times during the lifetime, most times it's parents, but it can be grandparents. They set up this trust and they need to name a trustee, which during their lifetime, sorry, I got distracted by there's some questions popping up, which we'll get
nice.
to in just a
Awesome.
minute. they need to, during their lifetime,
Mm-hmm.
the parents are usually the trustees because it
Lost the
makes
trust.
sense.
Right.
But upon the death, which is when that $50,000 that
Goes in.
goes into the special needs trust,
Okay.
and that's where you need to name somebody who you trust with money,
Right.
but also,
Okay.
yeah, obviously you want
Right,
to trust them with
right.
money, but in addition, I always recommend that it be somebody that child with special needs trusts. Not to use the word trust too often, but
Right.
that has a relationship with them, because if they want a new computer, they're going to need to explain to that person, and that person needs to understand the nature of that child's special
Right.
needs, first of all,
Right.
and also the rules that we just
Right.
discussed,
I was
but
going to ask that.
but also the needs of that child, and
Okay.
that's who.
Okay. So that answers my question as far as what the role of the trustee would be. Someone that they know, and someone that they trust, and someone who knows the rules as far as what their responsibilities are. Okay. Again, if you're joining us, we're discussing special needs trust. We're chatting with Attorney Gretchen Cleevely, and that this is, again, for educational purposes and not legal advice. Do we have any questions from the audience? Are we still looking at that? We didn't answer. What is the process like?
Sure, and I think Tina, I'm going to let Tina answer that, because Tina recently went through that process with me.
Yeah. I have a special needs child, and so it was time to get something put in place. And so usually our process here is to call and have a consultation, and we did have a consultation. We spoke. I filled out a questionnaire. It was a lengthy questionnaire. It was a lot of information, but it, to me, in your questions with me, it helped you to understand what our goals were, because we don't really know what we were up to until we spoke with you. And you got to know our family and our children, our other children, and so forth. And then you were able to devise a plan for us. I'll be honest, I didn't understand a lot of it, but you went through it with us. And as you were speaking with us, like we're doing today, it helped me to understand exactly where the role is. And you kept mentioning this bucket, how everything was going in this bucket once we did pass for my son. And so it was easy, to put it honestly. It was easy, but I felt comfortable because it wasn't just a boilerplate. It was, you got to know us, our family, and I mean, you had a lot of questions for us, a lot of questions, detailed. Trustee, beneficiary, getting the names right, things like that. But it was, I mean, honestly, on our end, it seemed pretty simple. I know it was a lot of work on your end to get to know us, because we're a team. We're a different type of family. We're a different type of family. So that's the process. Honestly, it is of ease. Okay, so there's a special needs trust in place. Now what? What happens?
So really, there's two ways of thinking about this. You set the trust up while you're alive, and you choose not to fund it until you die.
Okay.
That's an option,
Right.
and that's the option most people choose.
Okay.
But you can also fund it while you're still living, if you have money that you want to put into there, or
Okay.
oftentimes, a grandparent will want to gift an amount. That's a good vehicle for that, so that again that child doesn't lose benefits.
Okay.
And while you're living, if you're the trustee, you follow the rules of the trust.
Right.
And after you pass, the trustee who is in charge of it on your death is in
Okay.
charge of again following the rules and distributing to that child.
Okay. The special needs trust, like, is you jumping hoops?
No, it's not. I mean, Tina, you went
Yeah,
through the process. For you,
Well, that's
it's
on
not
my end.
difficult.
It's easy. I mean, for you, once you talk with the family and have that conversation, you know kind of where you're going.
Yeah.
So it's not difficult. Okay, that's great. So what happens when a beneficiary dies? The beneficiary of the trust.
So-
what happens to that money?
So the beneficiary, that term Tina's using, is the child with special needs.
Correct.
And when that child does, that's sort of a part of a bigger plan that we discuss. So the special needs trust is one part of a big picture, which
Right.
is sort of beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. However, the I lost my train of thought. Tina.
The family.
The
Considering
family,
the family. Mhm.
considering the family and the beneficiary, when that beneficiary dies, it's sort of up to the parent of where that parent wants that money to go
Afterwards.
to. So oftentimes a family has more than one child,
Yeah.
and they want to account for the other two children as well.
Right.
And oftentimes there's a we talk about, do you want to leave the assets equally to all 3 children? Sometimes parents want to leave a little more for that child, in that trust with special needs. Sometimes it's the opposite. They want to give more to those other children because those children are going to be partially responsible for the child with special needs. And that's a family choice, but what happens once that beneficiary dies is sort of part of that bigger plan, and where you as the parent want that money to go.
So it's not stuck in that trust and just sits there forever.
No.
Lost all my money. No. Okay. Just want to make sure. So, do I just need a special needs trust, or what else is needed to make the trust work?
Sure, and I think
bigger picture.
The bigger picture I was just talking about, it is just one piece of your estate plan.
Gotcha. Okay. So is it just another vehicle to help my special needs family member, if you will? Okay. So special needs planning in itself is not a difficult process. It's a part of the big picture, as you said. Let's check in with our audience and see if they have any questions. That's all the questions I have. Was there any other questions there? Let's see. What's the process like? We've covered that. And, considering what all of this costs.
Tina?
Well, I do get this question every day in every sort of way. Honestly, we're not able to answer that question. I didn't always buy into that. I always wanted to know how much it costs right now. But honestly, without knowing a frame of reference with the questionnaire, what's involved with the family members and the heirs and the beneficiaries and I can go on and on and on. Without having that information, the attorneys are in the dark. And so that's the only way that they can figure out what your goals are and to then give you a price or cost as to what it would cost you as a family, unique family. And I found that even with myself, and we talk about it every day. Without that information, we're shooting in the dark. We can throw a number out there, but it'll never be right. It'll never be right. So as far as costs, fill out your questionnaire. We have the consultation with the attorney, fill out the questionnaire, and at the end of that consultation, the attorney would advise you what the cost would be. And I think that's fair across the board. Do you have any other questions there? Let's see. Do you see anything else there that you need to answer?
There's a question. Does this trust apply to a spouse legally blind with spouse as trustee, additionally offer to protect money from Medicaid bills, and also as factoring into SNAP and Section 8? Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. I think maybe give us a call.
Give us a call and we can talk from there.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, if you're considering establishing a special needs trust or planning needs, you can give us a call at 919-782-3500 and schedule a consultation with Attorney Cleevely or any of our other attorneys. They all do estate planning, if you will. Or you can visit our website at ncestateplanning.com, where there is a wealth of information. And a lot of this information is on our website that you can find it there. We also wanted to know, we have offices in Raleigh and Wake Forest, and we have a coming soon in Cary, very soon, and our team is vaccinated. And we conduct our consultations in person, by video or by phone, to everyone's convenience and protection. And honestly, this was a lot more fun than I thought, Gretchen. Honestly, it was. Will you chat with us again?
Yes.
Will you come and do it again?
Yes.
Maybe on Medicaid?
Sure, I'll do a session on
Sounds
Medicaid.
good.
Yes. Oh, we have
We have another question.
that popped up in the meantime. How long does the process take?
We covered that, but go ahead.
It can take, usually, it's dependent on what you want, but usually it's a 2 to 3 week start to finish process.
Any questions and information being given to you.
Right, and then that's also a lot of times dependent on you, the client, on how quickly you get me what I need to finish the plan.
Yeah.
But typically it's 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. That's all the questions we have up there. Well, that's it. We look forward to the next discussion, and on behalf of the Brady Cobin Law Group, we want to thank you all for attending, and hopefully you will join us next time, and we'll see you then.
If you liked what you heard today and found it as fascinating as I do, feel free to share it with a friend by clicking on the link below. Or, if you'd like to learn more or speak with one of our qualified estate attorneys, visit us on the web at ncestateplanning.com. Thanks again for joining us, and look forward to seeing you again soon.